I would like to address a couple of things. First here, one, clean desk, which is nice. Two, arguably more important, the subject of today's video. I posted a video relatively recently. I was like, hey, this is me fixing a free film camera. And it was very hot. I had the air conditioning off, and it was a very warm day. So I was feeling it. It was very sweaty and uncomfortable, I would say. And it had this camera in question was an ME Super, and it had one of the weirdest issues I've ever seen. In fact, it was one I've quite literally never seen. So that was kind of fun. I was like, oh, this is good. And then right as I was about to wrap up the recording of said video, I found out what was wrong. So I was like, extra bonus time. What a great revelation that I can now share with my audience. And then I made the mistake of saying like, hey, if you guys want a part 2, let me know. And I was thinking in my mind like, nobody's going to want to see this because it's just me blubbering about the heat and cursing at myself, pretty much. But fortunately or unfortunately, the masses have answered and people really wanted to see a part 2. And this would be great. Like, I would love that. I would love to share that with you. Unfortunately, it's already done. I ended up repairing it without the camera recording because I wanted to have air conditioning. And it works just fine. But let me walk you through kind of what I did, because maybe that can help. So basically, we were here. This is where we left off, right? Had the body. I was like, I think it needs a new shutter. And it did. This is the shutter that was in it. Like I said, it was missing that post. There's a little spring tensioning thing there that's supposed to kind of sync up the locking mechanism for the shutter here, and then also the charging mechanism here. And that's gone. It's nowhere near where it should be, basically. In fact, it fell out of the camera. So this little spring here had nowhere to sit because it should sit on the little post. But fortunately, or unfortunately, again, it's hard to say at this point, I have a lot of garbage. I have a lot of ME Supers, parts, so on and so forth. So I was able to use a spare shutter that I had and swap that in, and now we have this fully working ME Super. It is missing the little cap, but I have plenty of those. So that's kind of where we're at. Pretty much put the new shutter in and then put the thing back together, which was basically just a reverse of what I did. Only managed one little mini goof up where I had the battery compartment. There's the little red wire, and it accidentally slipped into basically this little corner down here. So I had to loosen up the mirror box and kind of feed it back in. Other than that, no major mistakes, no goofs, just pretty straightforward repair there. So that's cool. And then I saw all the comments of people wanting to see the totality of the repair process, and I was like, sweet. I was not recording. In the meantime, I have this ME Super SE that I don't really know what's wrong with it, so we could uncover that together, and this will be like a part 2/part 1, because I solved this problem, and now I'm going to create another problem for myself. That's kind of what we do here. I just really obsessive about having puzzles and challenges to overcome. It's what I enjoy. I will also have you know that the air is not on for the sake of this video, and it's pretty warm today, I would say. It's not as bad as it was the other day, but it's definitely up there temperature wise. So, pour one out for the homies in the chat, and like the video and subscribe and all that stuff, because I'm putting it on the line, sweating in the buckets for y'all. My thought with this one is that the electronics are probably not working. I don't really remember where I left off with it, but this is like a personal camera of mine. I think it came in a lot with other cameras. Oh yeah, that was a weird one. Yes, the electronics are a little bit fucky because the LED system is working, the speeds are not working, and then on manual, it's basically cycling through, meaning the top contact here is depressed in a very strange way, leading the camera to think that it's, I'm pressing up, so it's like going through the speeds as if I'm doing that, but I'm not. And on top of that too, it's not going to fire the correct speed because it hates me. For the meantime though, I am going to do that. So this one's like kind of more complete now. Bibbidi booba. No free lunch, there's no free camera situation, especially in my case, because people are just like, hey, I hear you fix things, enjoy. I'm like, nice. Little do they know I actually do enjoy it, because I don't know what's wrong with me. Again, too much to count. How much time do we have? I don't want to edit all of that, so just disregard and move on. Pop that out. My suspicion is that the board might not be soldered together properly, and or I don't know. I don't really remember this one, to be honest. Yep, that might be a little fucky. I want to try to resolder this front board here and then see where we're at electronics wise. That would be my suspicion there. Let's get into it. I'm committed to making some form of part 2 video for everybody watching, because I do feel bad about not recording the other bit. And again, even if I did record it, I think I might have been complaining about the Time Bandits thing, and I just can't think that anybody would care too much to hear about that. I ended up talking to my buddy about it, so that was kind of a cathartic thing, because I love the Time Bandits. I've watched it ever since I was like a little youngin', as a child, and it was like one of my favorite things. I got it on VHS. I got the Time Bandits comic book too, because I'm like an OG fan. The VHS to this point, check out my VHS review video. It's the worst video I've made on this channel, but it's also the most fun, so enjoy. Be one of the 10 people that has seen it. Anyway, the VHS is virtually unwatchable because I've seen that movie so many times. And because VHSs are like magnetic tapes, the amount of times you've watched it will degrade the quality. Fun fact. Okay, so I might have just completely nailed that. And if that's the case, I might take a little victory lap and then turn the air conditioning on. I can hate when that thing falls out. But anyway, the Time Bandits trailer I think looks like absolute dog water. It's just one of those things where it's such an unknown property that like I don't know who it's for. And then I think that anybody who liked the original is not going to like it, so I don't really know why they keep doing stuff like this, but boom, look at that. Victory lap is earned. So we got the auto settings working, and got the manual settings working as well. What I want to say happened, what I'm hoping happened, is that it was having the auto winding issue. So I took it all apart to address that, which is smart of me because that's the best way to do it. But I think then in putting it back together, I just goofed up some of the soldering, and then it led me astray into getting this like really weird performance thing. And then I thought, I'll figure this out at some point. And because it's a personal camera, I just don't, there wasn't as much pressure on it. But now that I'm trying to shell things, it makes more sense that I try to get these out of my life, you know. Gonna have to glue that back in. I have to put this all back together. So here's where we're at. I apologize for just repairing this of my own accord. I thought, you know, hey, good for me, being a little go-getter, getting it done. And then I noticed that there were so many people who were like, oh, well, I want to see more, blah, 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 whatever. So I apologize, you're not necessarily getting that. But if you want to get the Reader's Digest version, like I said, I basically just put it back together. It's a very simple process, ultimately. It's just the reverse of what I did previously, with a few added twists of me messing up the power wire, which was an easy enough thing to fix. Basically, I just took something like this, and then I took the other thing, which looks like this, and then I just did that. I always have like a kind of weird, tough time putting these in. And it's funny because when I think when I did it on this one, it was just like, I nailed it. So now I feel very dumb for not doing it. But yeah, look at that, fucking slide right in. Screws in there, screw in there. Then you charge this. This shutter's not working, so disregard. But you charge that and then connect the viewfinder, or connect the mirror box into it. And you want to make sure that you put the tripod socket back in, because I've forgotten to do that, and then you feel like an idiot. You also want to make sure you put this back in, and it has to go in a certain way. Make sure that the wire is led up properly. Also, don't do this. Like, just if you're like, oh, I want to get into camera repair, don't start here. But if you are doing it, make sure that the power wire is out of the way. You can kind of use this internal seal, put a new one in of your own to make sure that it stays where it needs to. And then when you're putting the mirror box in, you want to make sure that you run those the power winder contact down through here again, because otherwise you can't really get it back in there unless you want to unsolder those wires and feed them through, which is an approach, but honestly I found that just removing the contact from here is easier, but you know, your mileage may vary on that. Then when you get this screwed in, you want to make sure that you hold it very gently so it doesn't tear off. You want to kind of feed that back in. What I did this time actually was I just connected the whole thing, and then from there I had this removed, so I was able to solder the purple wire into there properly. And then also just kind of with this soldering iron here, which I cannot recommend enough, the Pine 64 I think it's called. Anyway, I use this, it's very narrow, so I'm able to kind of get in there and not fuck up anything that's in this area. So if you feel confident in your abilities there, you can do that, but also this piece is plastic, it will melt. There's a very slim margin for error because that front contact board is very difficult to solder to at times, especially with that uncovered contact. So you just want to be careful that you're not ripping off the solder point completely. Yeah, I think that is it overall. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it as always. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel. Join the channel as well if you would like. I do appreciate the support. I'm going to turn the air on because it's getting a little toasty. And yeah, cool. Later.